Good morning, wrestling fans. Welcome to PWR Today, Wednesday morning, June 2nd, 2021. The man they call Meathead, now joined by Matthew Thomas. Good morning, the predictor of predictors, the Matthew Thomas of PWR Today.
Good morning. I predict this is going to be an excellent show that all of our listening audience is going to enjoy very, very much.
Again, we joke, off air about the conversations that we have, how we should have PWR Today after dark. And I'll just give you a hint, folks that are listening. We were talking about medicinal chicken. That's where we were going right there. So for those of you that know what we're talking about, you enjoy the reference. For those of you that don't, Google, my friends. Google medicinal chicken. Oof. All right, Matthew, let's get it started off right away. Let's get your shenanigans out of the way. Who's our sponsor today?
Oh, that's the brand that produces the collar and elbow material, shirts, and various paraphernalia. That's collarandelbowbrand.com. And if you would like to be dressed in collar and elbow head to toe like myself and the man they call Meathead, you head on over to that website, collarandelbowbrand.com. You enter promo code Linda K, and you save 10% off. And you spell Linda K, LINDA KAY, and then you save money, and you spell money MONEY.
Because you needed to spell money, but there is money to save now. Sadly, the Memorial Day sale is over. It was Memorial 25, but that 25% off at collarandelbowbrand.com is done. So save yourself 10% with promo code Linda K KAY. One bit of news I want to get to before we start going into, we're going to talk Warrior documentaries, and we're going to talk NXT from last night. Mark Henry signed at Double or Nothing with AEW. Mark Henry is All Elite, and he is the co-host of Busted Open Radio on Sirius XM, as well as Tommy Dreamer's on there, Bully Ray's on there. Good show, worth listening to, but he talks about the conversation he had with Vince McMahon as he was about to sign his deal with AEW. And no, if you're looking for dirt, if you're looking for, some sort of complaining, arguing back and forth, you're not going to get it from here. Mark Henry said it was probably the most positive conversation he could have had with Vince. And Vince was very happy for him and says, look, if it's not here, what you're looking for, go ahead and sign with him. Mark Henry said he had a very positive conversation, a very positive experience. He's a very loyal, that he stayed with WWE for those 25 plus years. Remember, Mark Henry signed right out of the 96 Olympics, I think?
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. It made me kind of do a second take when you said, but you're exactly right, man. He was signed right out of the Olympics, and going back and doing a little bit of a Raw rewatch a couple of years ago. Yeah, it's so interesting to see those vignettes. Shortly after WrestleMania 12, it's right in that time period. And, it kind of pulls you back a little bit. It makes you think it's a little bit earlier than most people remember in their minds, where they remember stuff.
Mm-hmm. Misremembering, I think, is the term. But yes, right out of the Olympics. As a matter of fact, I thought he had like a 10-year, $10 million deal where, they knew they were going to do something with him. And Mark wasn't doing a lot. Mark, when he first started off, he was carrying the bags. I think he rode a lot of times with Teddy Long and Ron Simmons. And, he was just out there learning the business. So, go back and listen to the Stone Cold podcast with Mark Henry, and you find out what Mark Henry's deal was. So, for those that might say that Mark Henry's not being loyal, sticking with the company, look, he wants to do more. Mark Henry's always got his deal with the Special Olympics. So, it's time. He's going to be a commentator on Rampage. He's also going to be out there, as a coach and maybe a scout as well. So very good news for Mark Henry. Happy to see him. Happy to see him in AEW, and I expect big things for him.
Oh, absolutely. And I like the way that AEW is utilizing a lot of these former WWE talents, and it doesn't necessarily feel like it did when TNA did it. It doesn't feel like they are trying to just pop viewers because it's a WWE talent. And you look at how they're using Big Show, you look at how they're going to use Mark Henry. It's not, hey, come watch this former WWE guy wrestle. They're using them as commentators. They're using them as trainers backstage. So it's a different feel to what they're doing with their former WWE talent.
One more note here that just popped this morning. AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view numbers are in. It is the second highest in company history. Now,
fantastic.
Again, there is nothing better. This is not WWE versus AEW. This is wrestling business increasing. And again, look, they had 120,000 buys on proper pay-per-view. That is a 12% increase in streaming numbers, surpassing the 2020 event by a pretty good amount. Absolutely phenomenal to see the number just rising. And again, they also had a full house down at Daly's Place.
Yeah, no, and I think AEW is going to continue to, to do well in the months and years to come. And it says a lot. It says more than it would 10 years ago or 20 years ago in the fact that you've got a wrestling fan base now that's largely not conditioned to shell out $40-$50 a month on pay-per-view. They're used to paying their monthly premium services.
You big dummy.
If that, you look at what they're doing with Peacock and those deals now.
Right.
I mean, you got people that are getting to it for
that's discounted.
Yeah, which is absolutely, it's still absurd to think, 10 years ago, it's like, hey, you're paying $10 a month, you're going to get your WWE pay-per-views. Oh, and you're going to have the library of everything that they've put out. Those WrestleMania and SummerSlam box sets that you've spent a couple of $100s on. Be no need for that because you're going to have everything at your fingertips. My goodness, it feels it feels surreal. There wouldn't have been any need for me to go and rent WWF videos from the video den after my swimming lessons.
And your medicinal chicken. Yeah, way to bring it back full circle.
I'd have still eaten that chicken, though. That's some good chicken.
Oh, Matthew Cartman. I don't know what to say here. Let us talk. Do you want to do NXT or do you want to do the Warrior? Which one do you want to go to first?
Man, I think NXT is going to leave us with a little bit. It's going to leave us feeling a little bit better about everything. So let's start with Warrior.
Okay. Dueling documentaries on the Warrior. First one that aired was WWE's Warrior documentary on A&E. Now, if this isn't obvious at this time, the A&E stuff is backed by WWE. I mean, they have Vince McMahon interviews. They have Stephanie McMahon, Triple H, Shane McMahon interviews on this. This is a WWE product done, I'm doing air quotes, done by A&E, okay? The Warrior documentary touched on the big points. It touched on his beginnings, how he came up with the Blade Runners and Sting. It touched on the Dingo Warrior. It touched on, making his way into WWF. Okay. It touched on, how he blew right through the Honky Tonk Man. It's ironic, and we'll get to this, in coming days, but, there's a wrestler out there that says that, the Honky Tonk Man, he was all about his gimmick. He was a very selfish wrestler as far as, the words of some, where he just wanted to do his gimmick and that's all. And it was said the same about the Warrior as well. For those that were allowed to say their piece and really speak their mind, on the Dark Side of the Ring Warrior documentary, Jim Ross was very clear when he said, I've never seen a wrestler go as far as they did with as little talent as the Warrior had. Now, when I first heard this, wasn't happy with the comments. I thought it was, a man is not there to defend himself. So, it's his word. Then I was like, I'm kind of pissed at JR about that. That was it wasn't necessary. The longer I thought about it and the more I watched, it's not that he's wrong, okay? It's that maybe it just was packaged the wrong way. Right. If you have a sit-down conversation with JR will tell you, look, man, the guy oozed charisma. He oozed the look, but he just didn't have the wrestling talent and didn't want to learn. And that's the thing that bugs you the most. The Warrior, for all his talent, for all his looks, all his nice teeth, like JR said, chose not to get into the wrestling business. All this dude wanted to do was come in and do squash matches. And you are not going to win any friends, not that he's trying to, but you are not going to win any friends in the locker room, and your stuff will not last long if you don't know how to do business. So, to summarize, at least my opinion, and we'll get yours in a second, Matthew, the A&E documentary was very friendly. They spoke to Dana Warrior's wife that presents the Warrior Award now at the Hall of Fame ceremonies. They talked about the letter that Warrior wrote to Vince McMahon, where he said that if you don't give me Hulk Hogan money, I'm not showing up. Dirty business, and Vince ain't going to take that garbage at all. They talked about the letter that Vince returned to him and said, you know what, you're fired. I'm done with you. I don't need you anymore. Don't you dare ever try to hold me hostage for a show. They talked about bringing Warrior back into the fold a couple more times. They also talked about what Warrior did as far as he started to lean to the right wing and kind of almost like a right wing nut job, one of those extreme ones that started, just putting his opinion out there. The film footage that we had of a young man in the crowd screaming, take it back, because, here he's probably got a guy that he looked up to, the Warrior, telling him that his life is wrong and he's made the wrong choice. He was wrong there. And, somebody's views are somebody's views, but he was wrong. One, he shouldn't have said it. Two, his opinion was wrong. I mean, it's just not the way it's supposed to be. And then finally, my heart breaks a little bit still to see that Warrior came back, amended his ways, made good with the people he had to make good with, was at peace with his life. And that speech on Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania, where he said, at some point, every man's heart beats its final beat. Oh, man, that gave me chills, because what happened the next day or the day after that? The Warrior died.
I think it was the very next day. I mean, it was, close to 12 hours later, if memory serves me correctly. Yeah, that speech and then the timing of all the events later, it was insane, everything lining up like it did.
So, Matthew, the Dark Side of the Ring version, besides Jim Ross, who I don't have an issue with anymore. Again, it was Jim Ross's opinion, and I understand it now. My initial guttural reaction to it was I didn't like it, and I was upset by it, but I understand it now, and that no ill will there. But I didn't like the piling on either. You know what I mean? Again, the man's not here to defend himself. They talked to his first wife, not his second wife, Dana. So, yeah, it's a weird thing. The one thing I pulled away more than anything else from the Dark Side of the Ring one, they spoke with Jake, and they're going to have Dark Side of the Ring Jake the Snake Roberts. So obviously they had a live mic on Jake for all the recordings. I did not know that Jake the Snake Roberts was at that Hall of Fame induction ceremony for Warrior. They were on the same card. Do you remember? I didn't.
I do now. I do
now too.
Yeah.
Jake was behind the curtain waiting for Warrior to come off with a roll of quarters in his fist, and he was going to knock him out. That blew me away. Here's why, if you haven't seen it yet. I didn't remember this, but it makes perfect sense. After that SummerSlam, where Warrior, won his match, and his next opponent was going to be lined up, it was supposed to be Jake the Snake Roberts. The reason Jake and the other boys probably did not go with Warrior, because he didn't want to do business for the company. See, when you're the champion, your job is to be the marquee guy, is to, help the other guys get paid, to help the boys get paid. So when you're the champion, you're supposed to, sell tickets. That's what your job is. As the champion, you're supposed to have people come to the building. Hulk Hogan did that for all the guys. That's why a lot of people liked Hulk Hogan as champion, because you know what? It got people in the building. Warrior Snake would have been a great program, but Warrior didn't want to do business. So Warrior pulling that move that he pulled, that was it. Snake's run as a main event, match, and house shows for 6 months, gone. That's a lot of money right there. That's merchandising, it's TV time, that's house show pay-per-view. I mean, all of it. Done. Jake is pissed, and he was pissed until Warrior came back through the curtain, hugged him, said, "I'm sorry." And Jake's exact words, "He disarmed me. He forgave me. I forgave him. We were good." That stuff makes me, that warms me a little bit inside. Somebody just having the intestinal fortitude to own it, accept it, and move on.
Here's what I'm curious about is, where do you think Jake got the roll of quarters? Because most people don't go around just keeping rolls of coins with them.
I guarantee he stopped at a gas station on the way around.
That's exactly what I was wondering.
Do you mind? I got a 10 on me, dude. I need a roll of quarters from laundry. Do you mind? Are you Jake the Snake? No, man. I'm Bob the Cat Rogers. I'm gonna go do laundry.
And that was my exact question I was going to pose to you. Did he actually go to a proper bank, or did he just hope that he could get a roll of coins at a 7-Eleven? You're right, man. I think he did the gas station thing. I mean, I guess if I was looking for a roll of coins, I probably wouldn't want it. Because here's the thing, man. Unless it's somebody you bank with, banks are very particular nowadays about giving change. And here's the thing: even being a business that has a designated bank, man, they want all this proof that in a lot of times now, even if it's the small
Not only
amount
that,
of change,
Matthew, they charge.
yeah. And they want they want it called ahead, ahead of time. And it's like, here's the thing. If you're going to get change from somewhere, wouldn't you think like the bank would be, no problem. That's what we do. We're a bank. It's a process getting change from a bank nowadays.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they want to charge you. So on a roll of quarters, which is $10, they might charge you $1 on that just for the process and the labor of rolling it, counting it, and papering it up.
My goodness. What's the world coming to? Well, that's what we need. We need to, enough of that. We need to start our own bank.
I guess. I mean, there's a coin shortage technically out there, and it got exacerbated during 2020, but that's gone now. But people were holding on to their change during the pandemic. The blah 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 now more than ever. But anyway, I loved. Again, this is really the story of Jake. When I do come across Jake, and maybe it's in August at AEW, maybe it's down the road. I don't know when it's going to be. But the one thing I'm most proud of with Jake the Snake Roberts is he's owned it. He's recovered. He's lived through it. I mean, can you believe what he's made through? What if he's the world that he's gone through, the life that he's gone through, and come out on the other side?
Oh, absolutely. It's a wonderful story. And just so you know, I was actually at the premiere of AEW Jake Roberts here in Denver, Colorado on the second to last show before the pandemic.
That's amazing. All right. So we will have Dark Side of the Ring, the legend of, what was it, Grizzly Smith, I think, whatever his dad's wrestler name was.
My goodness. Is that coming up?
That is this Thursday on A&E.
Really?
Or excuse me, on Vice. There are so many documentaries on so many different channels. It is hard to get through.
And I'm getting confused as far as what I've seen on A&E, what I've seen in what I've seen.
This Thursday on Vice TV is Jake the Snake Roberts. This Sunday on A&E is Bret the Hitman Hart. And then on Sunday, the WWE Treasures will be Brutus the Barber Beefcake and Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Interesting. You think Brutus is going to be looking for a window?
Possibly, as long as it's not a plain glass window or stained glass window, or
I bet you he could probably find a copy of Windows 95 at a thrift shop.
Possibly. You never know. All right. So again, we'll talk about those throughout the week. Let's talk NXT. All right. NXT, last night, we were promised that one of the two main events we were going to get was a triple threat to crown a new number one contender. The competitors, Pete Dunne, Kyle O'Reilly, Johnny Gargano. This was an amazing match that was interrupted by the returning Adam Cole Bay. We got no winner. Adam Cole destroyed the entire main event. All throughout the night, honestly, William Regal had no control over this show. How many different run-ins and times did we see him on TV? Because William Regal had no control.
Yeah, we saw him a bunch. Chaos was the theme of the show last night.
Yeah, chaos was the theme. You think on the run sheet in the back, in the gorilla position, the word chaos was at the top?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so Adam Cole disrupts the triple threat. No winner for the triple threat. And that is... super kicks and all that other stuff. Adam Cole wants in on the NXT title picture. The end of this segment, as Adam Cole's going to the back, here comes Ember Moon. She wants a piece of Raquel Gonzalez. As she's staring at Raquel Gonzalez from behind, Dakota Kai attacks her. Chaos again. Matthew Thomas, this two-match segment, whatever you want to call it, was just utter chaos.
Yeah, and it flowed, one into the other. When they came back from commercial, we did not necessarily see the opening match end. So, my first thought was that Ember Moon wanted in the NXT title picture.
She did. Wrong title. Next match we have is the person who defeated Cameron Grimes, Jake Atlas, taking on L.A. Knight. Yeah. LA Knight with a great entrance. They literally start him from the back with a microphone in his hand. Yeah, it's that time tonight. Let me talk to you, dummies, as he's walking to the ring. This is what LA Knight should be doing. Yeah. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, no, this was exactly what it should be, and this booking of having him going up against the person that defeated Cameron Grimes a few weeks ago was precisely what we needed.
Ted DiBiase shows up at ringside, scouting LA Knight. Cameron Grimes shows up at ringside, distracting LA Knight, the winner, Jake Atlas. And LA Knight seems to have disappointed Ted DiBiase.
Yeah, this was progression. I mean, we got to see LA Knight. We saw Cameron Grimes. We saw DiBiase. I like the story that they're telling. I mean, LA Knight's not DiBiase's guy. Neither is Grimes. You know, both of these are trying to win his affection. And that is such a fun and entertaining story to tell.
You know, maybe Cameron Grimes might win the affection to DiBiase and take his career to the moon. We'll have to see.
Who would have thought that Ted DiBiase here 2021 would be such an integral part of NXT? And I love every minute of it.
Not me, but it's amazing. Okay, Adam Cole is back, and he's cuts probably one of the best promos he's cut in 6 months to a year. I mean, I thought it was impassioned. Here comes the champion, Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross, his best promo ever, by far, because he's talking directly to Adam Cole. Listen here, little man. I loved it. I thought Adam Cole was going to call Karrion Kross a meathead. I was waiting for it. I really thought he was going to call him a meathead.
Well, that'd have been a very fine compliment. It would just show that he's listening to this very show and, you know, possibly a face turn for Cole.
Quite possibly he wants to join the team they call meatheads. However, William Regal and everybody else said, look at Adam Cole, you're not going to do what you think you're going to do and sneak yourself into the NXT title picture. And Karrion Kross said, nah, I'll take them all. Give me Gargano. Give me Riley. Give me Dunn. Give me Cole. I'll beat them all. I love the setup. So now it is a 5-way at NXT in your house for the NXT Championship.
It'll be a great match. I think this is a well that WWE's been going to a lot recently. You stop and you look at it. I mean, it was quintessentially the setup to a match at Mania with Edge, Reigns, and Bryan. It was the setup to the women's match at Mania. It's what they did last month with Lashley and Strowman and McIntyre. You know, it's going to be a good match, but my goodness, it seems like this is something they consistently revisit when they don't necessarily have what they feel is like a strong contender for a one-on-one program. They'll throw everybody in there, and it gives the impression of just throwing everything up against the board and seeing what sticks. I think it's an effect that WWE has used quite a bit recently that you really run the risk of desensitizing the audience to.
Absolutely. NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. Candice LeRae and Indy Hart will defeat Zeta Rainier and Zoe Stark. The championship's not on the line, but the women, Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell, looking strong again. And then finally, tag team title match. These titles are on the line. MSK to take on El Legado del Fantasma.
It was good, and it was I like the fact that I assumed the number one contender match was going to close the show. It did not, for obvious reasons, because you still had to set that up with the Cole segment you had in the middle of the show. But here's what I like about NXT is you can shuffle the deck so much, and you consistently do, and there's not many people in many programs on that roster that cannot main event and close the show.
NXT was a good show last night. And coming up tonight, we have no AEW Dynamites again, bumped because of the NBA playoffs. Dynamite will be this Friday. However, we have more to talk about. So we are going to look over, Matthew, I'd like us to look over some of the other documentaries out there. It'll be a surprise, folks. Tune in tomorrow morning, and we will figure out which one we're going to do again. We've got the Warrior ones out of the way. We haven't talked yet about the treasures with Jake the Snake Roberts, but maybe we'll save that for the Dark Side of the Ring. We've got so much more to talk about. So, for Matthew Thomas, I'm the man they call Meathead. Hey, thanks for stopping by. So long, everyone.